This is totally unscripted, so don't think like we're going in here with a whole bunch of pitch. We're gonna try to sell everybody on stuff. Don't worry about it. That's not what we're doing here. As you guys know, we've been working diligently with the guys over at Splinterlands, and I wanted to introduce who they are because I don't think we've actually introduced most of the working monks here to who we're working with over at Splinterlands. But these are my peers, right? So 16-bit has joined us. That's John Monahan. He's the guy I got on blast right now on screen. I don't know if his audio is going to work, but I'll pretend to be John and say, "Oh, thank you for being here, Patrick. Yeah, it's great. I love it." Right? Yeah, thank you for being here, John. And then we also have Liam, who's joining us, who's the head of growth over at Splinterlands. And Liam, I think you do have your mic working. So,
I'm all good to go.
All right. So I started there back in January, February, March, April, May. Yeah, like May, I think. So I'm still relatively new to the company, and you guys have been actually really kind of hypercritical for me to understand the economic part. Well, even though I know you guys aren't actively working on that, but the things that we've been working on have really kind of helped me understand the economy behind Splinterlands, and then also just how organic the organization itself has grown. Um, so, like, we have this huge community that was built on Discord. How many members do we have on our Discord right now?
Splinterlands, we're at like 180,000 or just shy of it.
Yeah, just shy of it, right? We're floating right around 200. Like we're almost to 200,000 members on Discord. And also, like, all of this is done, and I come to find out that this person Liam, who is head of growth, wears like 15 different hats at the company, right? And he's like probably the busiest person in the company, running around trying to make sure that we're crossing all of our T's and dotting all of our lowercase J's, right? So anyhow, I just wanted to give you a chance to kind of introduce yourself, Liam. Don't feel threatened or don't feel like you got to put it out there. But, if there's anything you wanted to say about yourself and just kind of introduce yourself,
Yeah, I mean,
have
I
at
think
it.
you covered me pretty well. So, director of growth here at Splinterlands, kind of previous backgrounds, just been doing a whole bunch of growth marketing for tech startups. So, really growing them from their first couple $100,000 in revenue to their first kind of $20-30 million in revenue. Past life too, used to be a professional gamer, played some Counter-Strike, played some League of Legends, but otherwise, I think BJ did a pretty good job summing it up.
I didn't know that you were a professional gamer.
Yeah,
Counter-Strike, really?
yeah, it's not
Dude,
even
I
just
heard,
for
I
a
heard,
little bit.
I heard you're super tall too. I'm super tall as well. I heard you're like 6'6" though, 6'7".
Yeah, I don't know if we met down in LA
Did we?
that first time
Oh,
when I met
that's
you. It was like very, very briefly, but
really. Oh, okay. Yeah. With Richard, then you were out there with Richard.
yeah, I was running around for most of it. I had to do a talk there, so I was
Gosh,
gone for half the
so
day.
was I.
But
Yeah, so was I. See, I got to meet 16-bit. You didn't come out to Philadelphia, huh? When we went and had the kind of just introduction when I was
no,
out there. But oh man, yeah. So yeah. Anyway, so I come to find out like Liam is like gluing all this stuff together, and he's just got so much going on. And then Matt, the CEO of the company, had approached us about monks and doing a NFT project and a generative NFT project. And the two people, I was like, oh shit, like, what do I do? Like, who do I talk to? And, where's our marketing department and all of these things? And I come to find out like Liam's been heading all of this stuff with kind of a ragtag crew, and has just been killing it. And so anyways, it's just kind of interesting to see how this stuff happens and how it comes to fruition. And to be honest, and I'll probably talk on behalf of the company because I know 16-bit would normally come in and fill us in here unless John,
you might be able to hear me now.
There you are.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. So I just I didn't know that about Liam, him being a professional gamer. That's new to me. But yeah, did you want to introduce yourself real quick since I already got you on blast? And
yeah, no
everybody's
doubt.
looking at your.
No doubt. Yeah, so not a professional gamer. Unless you count like, the 1990s when I used to house all my friends and Super Dodgeball and, Super Tecmo Bowl, stuff like that. I'm kind of an old guy these days, but But yeah, no, I've spent the majority of my career helping to build like some education technology startup companies and doing all that kind of stuff. So it's actually how I ended up here. I used to work with our co-founder CEO, Egg Road Light Hacker. We used to run around the country and talk to all these professors and do all this different stuff with ed tech. But yeah, he asked me to come over and see if we can make something of sales at Splinterlands. Back when the market was really pumping, back in November, December. I ended up coming on board in February and just been trying to sort it all out ever since. And I don't know, it's been a great space, and I think in a weird way it was a good timing to come in and get involved in when things are a little bit rougher to be successful, because I think in the long run it's actually gonna play out well. I mean, it's mind blowing what gaming industry really is, because I don't think I realized over a third of the world's population plays video games. That's like over 3 billion people, and the gaming industry is already bigger than the movie industry and the music industry combined, which is astounding to me. But the blockchain gaming piece of it, or the Web3 gaming piece of it, is probably growing the fastest, but it's still a grain of sand on the beach compared to the whole industry itself. So I mean, there's just so much runway, so much green space to come in and get after. And I think we're doing some good things, because I think the team over here, you got a lot of people with hearts in the right place and focused on producing valuable stuff that people care about, that people want to do, and not just crypto degens and Web3 enthusiasts and all the people like all of us, but also like Web2. So how do we make this frictionless too? How do we make sure that they're here to have a fun game, but they're doing it on blockchain, taking advantage of all these things that blockchain gives us? So anyway, really happy to be here. Appreciate the invite in.
Yeah. And thanks for showing up. I didn't mean to put you on blast, but it was the first page of the deck. So I was just going to run through this, and I know that
being on blast, PJ. It's all good.
yeah, right. Yeah, I know you do. I just, again, I didn't want you to feel like you had to do this. This is, I would love to run through the deck real quick, or as quick as I can, and just see if we get questions, because, this group here is probably pretty well versed already. I think a lot of these people here have already been exposed, but it's good to go over this. Also, normally if we were going to do like an AMA style format, we'll be somewhere where we don't have a pitch deck that we can run through either. So we'll normally post things in like a text channel or something while we're going along and telling our story. But let's just jump into this, because this is a lot of information, and we're going to go over it pretty quick. And of course, you get the disclaimer right out of the gate that this is not intended to provide or should not be relied on for legal or financial advice. All right. So, and John's right. So we're touching on two major demographics right now. The biggest being gaming by far, and then the second being the fastest growing in gaming, which is blockchain, right? So gaming being probably the largest sub demographic towards any marketing or brand out there, and then blockchain being the fastest aspect of that growth. So Splinterlands touches on both of those. Currently, we have over 2 million registered users, right? That's freaking huge. 900,000 active wallets, right? So that's our active wallet count. About 200,000 daily active users, which is more than most decentralized exchanges combined. If you actually go and look at how many active wallets they have, that's a ton. So 175 or almost 100. Well, yeah, we're getting close to 200,000. I think we're at 180,000 Discord members now. And just the other day, in August, we passed 3 billion battles played, right? That's a huge number. Each one, is basically a game played on our platform. We average about 3 to 5 million battles every single day, with 12 million transactions per day on chain. That's more than there are Ethereum transactions per day. We're in 146 countries, 10 plus languages, and over 1,000 guilds that are tied to the Splinterlands brand. So, as you guys know, we have basically the Splinterlands economy, which I brag about all the time, because of the way that it was done. It's just highly effective at reaching a large audience base, which makes it sticky, right? And the way that the cards work in Splinterlands are quite different than almost all the other games that I've seen or have been watching other communities build, which is really, really great. But anyways, as you know, all the cards are NFTs. They all have a high utility because of how they're applied in gameplay. And then scarcity drives value. So as you'll see, the cards start out rather not scarce. There's quite a few. And then you have to basically burn them together to make even more higher powered cards. So it starts to create a scarcity over time. And here's all of the different types of assets that are in the game. So normally, because it's not on Ethereum, but we would equate these to ERC20 tokens or fungible tokens. They have DEC, which stands for dark energy crystals. It's the tokens that are earned while playing the game. Governance tokens are SPS, which are used in our DAO, which I think we just passed our second one. We got a third one coming up next week, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong there, Chatter, but I don't even know if, yeah, what are we voting? Do you remember what we're voting for? I don't remember.
I
don't know. Okay. Yeah. So anyways, these are used to make votes about how the economy and how, different aspects of the game should be played. Right. So, and finally, there's vouchers, and vouchers are used to almost like credits, right? You can use them throughout the game to, as you can see, we'll be doing vouchers for whitelist spots for the generative NFT project. Other than that, they have cards, and then packs, which are groups of cards. And then we're launching SPS validator nodes, which will be on top of our own private network right now. But we'll be launching a public net eventually. But the SPS validator nodes are basically how we validate transactions, very similar to how you would with owning Ether nodes or anything else. And then finally, which is also one of our favorite things to talk about, although I believe is 2 years in the making, is land. And land in the domain is going to provide a ton of utility and also creates more of a matrix of effects that happen to characters and, I would say the economy, because it opens up so many different aspects for tokens to be spent and how it works. It's pretty fascinating. So anyways, these are all of the different types of assets that you can collect in Splinterlands. So card scarcity. Every single card has a series of levels, with the exception of maybe some of the newer ones that are coming out. But I'm not going to divulge too much about this right now. But every card starts out basically very common, right? And we will mint. I mean, how many do we normally mint in a sale? 16-bit Chattered. It's like 250,000, or million, a couple million, right? 5 million.
You have 15 million packs with 5 million, or with 5 cards inside each pack.
There you go.
So
That's right.
right there, you got tens of millions of cards. But then we also use reward cards that are either promotional purposes. Will be big sales, like we did a big sale with Waka Flocka Flame. So he's a character in the game now, Waka Spirit Blade. And then, the cards are part of the reward structure too. So we'll drop these different reward cards that are just like any of the cards you get out of packs, but different characters with different abilities and stats and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, there's a lot of cards to start out. It starts with a ton of inflation, and then you get all that deflation kicking in.
Yeah, and so what you'll get is a lot of volume and activity initially as people start to stack up cards that they want to start compounding. And then it takes 10 level 1s to make a level 2, 10 level 2s to make a level 3, 10 level 3s to make a level 4. What does the math come out to make one top tier card?
Yeah, so for a common, you need 400 copies of a level 1 to make a single level 10. So you're burning 399 out of those 400 from the market, from the supply.
So, creates scarcity. And guess what? People that we know will buy hundreds of thousands of dollars of these cards and just sit on them, right? Because they're going to become scarce. And as they hold on to them, there's a burning mechanism built into the economy for it.
Yeah, there's a chart, I think, a couple slides down where it shows you the scale of all that, right? Like, so depending on the rarity. Like I use the example there, but yeah, here you go. Commons have 10 levels, takes 400 copies to get a top level card. Rares have 8 levels, 115 cards. And of course, as you go from common to legendary, the card itself gets rare. There's far fewer copies of it to begin with. But you see kind of the sheer scale of it. So we'll be going through an edition sale of, in the case of the current edition, Chaos Legion, we're starting out with 15 million packs, but that's a cap supply. So after it sells out, and we're about 10 million packs sold into it at this point, after it sells out, the inflation shuts off, right? And meanwhile, all through the entire process, you have players that are trying to level their cards up, because as they level up, they get more powerful, they get more utility, which allows you to play in the higher leagues where you get the bigger earnings. And so all the incentives are all sort of baked into the system.
The rental markets, the fees for rental markets, all of that tied to the card.
Yeah, so there's every reason to combine cards together and level them up. And it wasn't always exactly that way, right? There were some kinks in the economy here and there. And, it's 4 years of sort of making adjustments to get that economy to where it is right now. But man, the incentive's strong. You want to be playing in the 2 highest leagues, because the vast majority of the rewards are really stacked up in those leagues. So the incentive structure is there, which encourages everybody to keep burning cards, which only drives the value of those cards up. And then after the edition sale runs out, the only place you can buy those cards from that edition is from other players.
Yep. So yeah, and what happens is you have these players that begin to level up their ability or skills, and they'll start to rent cards for tournaments and all kinds. Yeah, it's absolutely fascinating to watch all the parts move, because you realize how complex it is. But yeah, this is Chaos Legion here. So we had 15 million packs, like you said, and there's 5 cards per pack. How much were the packs selling for? It's like $5 pop or something. I don't remember how much Chaos Legion was going for.
Yeah, $4.
$4. All right,
Yep.
so we sold 15 million packs times $4. Do the math, right? That's one set of packs. Yeah, it says it right there, huh? $4. So, anyways, you could see why you would have people that would go and buy, tens of thousands of dollars worth of cards and just sit there and hold on to them, right? So anyways, it has this mechanism built into it where it allows it to be inexpensive per card, allow a lot of economies to participate in that, which has really driven a lot of our adoption and growth. So yeah, as you can see, Splinterlands went through an explosive growth cycle. I think based on all of the volume that we have still to this day, we are the largest decentralized application in the world right now based on daily average users. But our growth too has kind of been impacted by the market, but it hasn't flatlined like everybody else, right? You've seen a lot of our competitors just basically completely go flat, and their economies have basically not recovered at all. Whereas ours is actually doing a lot of different mechanics. I mean, there's a lot of mechanics behind the scenes that are switching off. I mean, just recently we stopped our airdrops that were happening. Do you guys remember how much we were actually airdropping? It was SPS that was getting airdropped, right?
Yeah, it was SPS being airdropped. The allocation for it, I can't remember off the top of my head. But if you go to, if everyone wants to ever kind of look in after this call, sps.splinterlands.com is the tokenomics white paper.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can check it out. And you'll see that all of a sudden, with all the added utility, plus all the added markets that they have, that Splinterlands has actually done very, very well, especially in the downturn. So yeah, it's exciting, right? I mean, it shows that, companies that have good mechanics and companies that are able to build and sustain a community last, right? The community rallies. But I think the big thing here is actually it's an affordable game, right? It doesn't cost tens of thousands of dollars, right? So this is like one of my favorite charts. Did we want to share this one, or did you want to talk on this?
Definitely. So, but before that, I thought I'd share kind of a cool example. So, SPS is the governance token of Splinterlands, and I mean, obviously, we all know the market hasn't been doing so hot these last several months, and our governance token was no exception. So, SPS dropped in price considerably, like all the way down around 4 cents. But just to show like how these different events, that Splinterlands, the company stages, can have an impact. So we're getting ready to do the pre-sale of the next mini set of cards, which is a smaller edition, tomorrow. So it's called Rift Watchers, right? But in order to buy Rift Watchers packs, you have to purchase them with SPS and vouchers. And so vouchers reward, that's a token that rewards players that stake SPS or own validator nodes. So they're kind of doing a couple of key things for the ecosystem and providing liquidity and governance. But with that simple fact that you have to spend SPS to buy Rift Watchers, I mean, the token price, in spite of how the market's been, and even over the last week, has gone up and almost doubled in price from what it was. So it's just another example. But the card market, we have this distribution of users that kind of spread all across the different value range. You got your whales, but it's not driven by just whales. You have sort of a middle class, so to speak, right? Of people that sort of populate the whole middle spectrum in terms of the value range of their card collections, and that's to me a pretty healthy economic setup. So it's I don't know, it's pretty cool to see, and I'm not sure how totally accurate this. I think that this is a subset of what the full market really is. I think we have more
It is.
people in that 1 million plus range than what's shown here. But I think the trend is on point, right? So that $1,000 to $10,000 value range for a lot of those wallets sitting in the middle, and the 10K to 100K range, that's kind of like our bread and butter right there. We got a lot of people that kind of sit in that range, and you can be really successful having a deck that ranges anywhere from $8,000 to $15,000. You can be playing up in the highest levels of the game, and doing quite well, and also renting cards out on the market, and doing all these other things that you can do to make money in this ecosystem.
Yeah, so this is only just the current value, right? So this wasn't even the combined value or total earnings earned, right? So these are decks, right? So
This is just market
these are
value
just the decks.
cards.
This is
Yeah,
crazy.
just the cards. Yep.
Yeah. So if you think about how much money goes into tournaments and all of the money that's been reinvested in the economies, like it's a lot. It's a lot. So ways to earn. All right. Well, this is more of an alpha group. Typically, we consider monks more of an alpha group, but there's quite a few different ways to earn in the economy. There's passive income and active income. As you know, passive income, you don't really do anything. You just participate through purchasing, which is card value appreciation. We already described how that works. You can rent cards to other players, which is a big part of our economy. Own the brand and customizable ETH NFTs. That's what we're selling here from Monks, right? it's the generative NFT project. Provide token liquidity. So as you guys know, we know how to do Uniswap V2, same as Sushi Swap, and their APRs for I think wrapped ETH and SPS is still around 90% per year. It's fucking stupid. Own a SPS validator node, owning nodes inside the game, and then own a guild or outsourced operation. So you can, your guilds can participate in tournaments, and also host your own events. So actively to win battles, obviously, if you're winning and you're putting together good decks, and you're winning tournaments, then you're absolutely earning DEC. Play your customizable ETH NFTs in game. So this is part of what we're doing with the ETH NFTs. They will be available to actually play inside the Splinterlands game, but they'll be the only ones that are originating from Ethereum. Operating your SPS validator nodes. So actually running the nodes, but this comes later down the line, and then running a gaming guild. And I think that's more of a sales thing, 16-bit, right? But you're the one that anybody would contact about doing guilds.
Yeah, that's right. Or just onboarding capital at scale in general. Guild is kind of a more general term. I like thinking about it as a more general term. It's basically about just onboarding capital in larger quantities and putting that capital to work in the ecosystem. How do you do that in the context of gaming? You have, as many players playing with valuable accounts that you own as possible, which is effectively the guild structure, whether or not you call it a guild.
Best be gilded up. No, I'm just kidding. We work with a lot of guilds. That's why. So as you guys know, there's I think what was the number that we came up with was like 2,900 different Discord communities listen to the Splinterlands Discord announcements channel. Something like that. Yeah, yeah, it's so ridiculous. We're trying to figure like if the average group has 500 people, how many people is that, right? It's a lot. It's a lot of people. So, anyways, this real quick card appreciation we talked about, but over here I think there's actually some financial stuff that goes along with this, or it had values of this. But did you want to touch on this one? Because I'm actually not too familiar with how they've performed 16-bit. All I know is how the mechanics of it work.
Yeah, so it's pretty. This is an easy thing to suss out. So if you go out to any of the markets, I linked a few of them here. We have one in the game too. You started applying filters and looking at these previous editions of cards. So alpha, beta, orb, untamed. I kind of put them here in chronological order. But go start picking out cards, right? Filter to those groups, and you'll see that the further back the edition goes, the more valuable they are.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So the point is that over time, like we were talking about before, each card gets more and more scarce because you have to combine them together to level them up. And so there's all these burn mechanisms. You can also burn them for DEC. So there's all these ways to burn cards, making them more scarce. Plus, we don't sell them anymore. Once we sell out, we're done. We're on to the next edition. And so the appreciation value of the cards over the long run is high. So there's cards that are selling, for tens of thousands of dollars in these player-to-player markets, and every single one of those cards was either given to you free by us at some point as a promo card or a airdrop, or it came out of like a $2 card pack at one point in time, right? So you can hit on these things and end up getting significant value. So yeah, and that value, it's a little bit more of a long run play, the appreciation, because it takes place as you move on to new editions. So after an edition sells out, during the edition sale, you'll still have some valuable cards, but your overall ROI will start out a little bit lower on this part of the economy. But over time, if you're holding on to these cards and playing with them and earning off of them, the overall earning potential for each individual card, in the long run is massive. Because not only are you earning by playing and doing all these other things, but the value of the card itself is appreciating quite a bit.
I should have had Biz come in here too, because he talks about that a lot. What he was telling me the other day is that when the new card packs launch, they'll try to get a little bit of everything, and then they'll just sit here and watch the card markets and watch which ones start to move. It's pretty nuts. And he's got he runs our support staff. But I believe at one point he was a SPS millionaire too. So anyways, like I said, there's a lot of money in the economy at Splinterlands. And as you can see, this is just one of the 3 examples in the market that 16-bit was talking about. So anyhow, yeah, the packs I think were also kind of modeled around the same way. If you guys are familiar with Magic the Gathering, like how they would have very limited packs, not 300 or so cards per pack or edition. So that's pretty cool. And then card rentals. So I think we were just on the other one. Let me see if I can pop over to the card rentals page. But our card rental economy is a large portion of how players are able to earn in the game. And so this, I think so this is all levels based on price. You can see there's cards in here for quite a bit of money. Some of them are obviously unrealistic, but other ones are actually pretty realistic here in the game. And these are all gold foil cards. So, yeah, this stuff, let's go to rentals real quick. Let's see what they're going for. So a couple bucks a day, right? If you're getting $1 a day or even 10 cents a day on cards, but you've got, 100,000 cards, this could start to add up pretty quick, right? So anyways, that's the idea behind it, is that this is a quantity play, especially when tournaments are running and they need certain cards, low level cards to, compete in tournaments. It just gets crazy, right? So you'll see the prices on these things jump up 600% in a day. But it's really, really cool to watch. As you can see, the artwork is phenomenal. They've got years and years worth of stuff in here. And I know we've been working closely with squabs on the lore and stuff, but this stuff is just really, really phenomenal. Sorry, 16-bit, were you going to say something?
Yeah, no, I was just going to say one of my favorite things about card rentals and how we do it is how the value goes in both directions. It's a thriving rental market because players listen. You need to have better cards. We call it collection power. Is the accumulated value of your card collection to be able to play up in higher leagues in addition to your rating or your skill level. And so, like when I was first getting started out, right, like there's a lot of meta going on here. There's a lot of different things I needed to learn it, and being able to rent cards for basically pennies on the dollar for what I needed them for, which was to experience what the better league play was like, what the better earning was like, and see what the more diverse rule sets and the better versions of the game up in the higher leagues. That was accessible to me without owning a ton of cards right at first, because I could just rent like some sweet cards and go and play up in those higher levels. And so like that was really valuable to me as the renter. Now I'm in a spot where like I'm renting cards out. Like, so Peak Monsters is one of the other rental markets. PJ, you were just over there a minute ago. That has a way where you can basically just mass rent all of your cards that you're not using out.
I'm not
right?
going to log in, yeah.
Yeah, you got to be logged in. And but yeah, the point is that it has a lot of give and take, right? Like the sources and sinks are all right in this, and so the whole thing really goes, and it goes well, and so everybody wins, and that's kind of what we're doing. So from the perspective of being kind of an investor or guild, this just provides one more avenue for you to maximize your return and get something out of it. Meanwhile, playing with the cards that you do want to play with and getting the entertainment value out of it on top. So, yeah, it's I don't know. Rentals are awesome. I love that this is baked in, and actually, it's really enabled by a very unique part or a unique aspect of the blockchain that we're on. We're on this Hive blockchain that has a multi-key system with different levels of permissions for each of the keys, and so like. For rentals, like you're never giving away custody of the card. It's really secure method for somebody else to access, play at the card, really with just a click or two, without any risk on your side as the owner of the card. So yeah, it's, the rental system is pretty slick. It's, I think there's a lot of others that are trying to get to a spot like this, but yeah, we had all this figured out a while ago.
Yeah, I wanted to say something. Peak Monsters alone by itself, just on Splinterlands, did 1.5 million in fees last year. Killed it.
Yeah, and that's a business that somebody else set up solely based on Splinterlands,
Solely
right?
based on Splinterlands, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's just
We-
one of them. So it's like, that's just on fees from rentals. That was it. That's not even fees from sales.
yeah,
Right. And
exactly.
so,
And we support, as a company, like we don't see that as competition. Like we support that. We want people
yep.
building businesses around the ecosystem. So yeah, that's worked out pretty well for the Peak Monsters guys for sure.
Hint, hint, go out there and build a market. Branding and generative ETH. If only somebody knew what the hell was going on here, right? So as you guys know, Splinterlands took a keen, Matt, one of the founders, bought Monks before I even went over and started interviewing at Splinterlands. So it was opportune that we had a platform that was designed to be built for gaming, and really just needed an audience. And what do you know? We got an audience. But Splinterlands is launching a generative ETH project. We haven't launched the announcement, so I'm not going to put any of the announcement dates or any of that stuff out here today, because we've completely changed it up from what we originally thought, and really only the people that have been in the Splinterlands group know what's going on. But it's all of the same stuff. I mean, we're looking to work with brands. We're looking to bring some customizations into the game, because the game is very static as far as yes, you can level up your cards, but there's no way to PFP yourself or represent yourself in the game other than just owning decks and having a customizable username, right? So this changes everything, right? And this just gets us one step closer to being a a multi-game community, right? So when we at Splinterlands think about this, it's almost the same thing. It's like all we want to do is work with groups, right, and work with communities, and work with other really bitchin' NFT projects. So that's why also our outreach team has been so well versed at doing this, especially since we focused on alpha initially. We had all these great relationships. So, anyways, as you guys know, like, it's very traditional to what we do here, and kind of holds true that the mission is to get as many people into Web3 as possible. And this is a fucking great opportunity, right? The people who have been helping with the Splinterland side of stuff have been doing a phenomenal job here in Monks. I just want to say that too. It's been really exciting to kind of see this whole thing take off. So hard work pays off. Okay. So moving on, as you guys know, liquidity and doing LP is kind of true to our nature. We launched pools and also have a high yield reward system set up inside the Splinterlands ecosystem. I believe we're actually working on some training for how to set up the LP positions for the high yields, but I know Convoy needs help working on that as well. But we were going to put together some content for actually just jumping in and aping into SPS pools and how the system sets, how you got to set it up. But with that being said, the APRs are still floating around 100% for SPS. Any pool that you're setting up or any asset that's available in the pool, it's either going to be set up on SushiSwap or one of the other exchanges that are on there, and you have to register your wallet with Splinterlands. But we're compounding your returns on the APR with more SPS, so, or whatever the token is that you're staking, right? So with that, you get really high APRs, right? I have a friend who put in probably a couple $100,000, I think. Maybe, well, I know the other day we helped him do like 40 or 50 grand to get into the position, but people are putting a lot of money in, right? And there's a lot of volume still. So if you're familiar with the LP pools, it's usually like a Uniswap version 2 style pool. That's what they're running here. So you don't have to worry about impermanent loss like you would with V3 positions. It still exists, but it's nowhere near what you would get on a V3 pool. But yeah, anyways, they've been performing phenomenally. Also owning SPS validator licenses. So the validators are great because, again, it allows us to further kind of own I say own the decentralization. No, it further allows us to kind of distance ourselves from all the blockchains that are out there and create one that works for our economy, but then to take that and to open it up to the masses so that everybody can own a piece of it, like a real decentralized economy, right? So in doing so, we have a delegated proof of stake consensus model. You guys have heard me tell the story about EOS. EOS was created by Dan Larimer. Dan Larimer created Steemit. Originally, this company was called Steam Monsters because it ran on Steemit, and then later became Hive. So it shares a lot of consistency with how the EOS system was set up. Anyways, 10% of, let me see here. So delegated proof of stake, there's 3,750,000 SPS tokens per month allocated to node owners and operators. 10% goes to validating blocks, 90% to remaining node license owners. 20,000 vouchers are distributed equally to license holders. So you also get 20,000 vouchers to purchase in economy assets. And then everyone with staked SPS will be able to vote on which owners can actually validate blocks. So you actually get to choose which owners are running blocks. There's also an incentive for people to come together and put their SPS together to vote in order to get their to be the block validator, right? And then node licenses are NFTs, saleable and transferable. So what do you know, right? Own a NFT, participate in the economy. One of the best ways to do that is passively is just to own an SPS validator node. All right, gameplay. For the actual gameplay itself, you receive SPS for each win. Bonuses for playing gold foil cards. So you guys see some of these cards are gold. They're just called gold foil, right? And then we would compile all your rewards into what we call reward shares or R shares for each win. So R shares determine the quantity of loot chests received for focuses plus season rewards. Every day when you start the game, you can have a daily focus, which if you complete, you'll get these compounded reward shares. And then you also receive loot chests daily and seasonally. The quality of rewards is determined by the league that you play in. There's many different leagues. The quantity is determined by your skill level. And the chests include card packs, dark energy crystals, reward cards, NFTs, which the reward cards are NFTs, potions, and merits for guild play. So card delegation, and this is what 16-bit was talking about. If you just own the cards, you can just delegate them to actual gamers. So if you are a big brand or a guild and you want to sponsor players and you want to get them in front of people, that's one of the great things about the generative NFT project is it'll allow us to do that, right? So it'll allow us to modify the characters inside the game. So yeah, gamers need cards, preferably good cards to play in the most competitive leagues, and many gamers don't have the resources to quickly accumulate the requisite quality of card collections. So what they do, they run them out. You can also delegate them, right? That's what they're saying here. So anyways, delegation is only possible because of the way that this is set up on Hive, right? It's got delegate um, ownership. Okay, so ways to earn. This is just a summary, right? And this is all of them. It's card value appreciation, card rentals, provide liquidity with SPS, dark energy crystals, or vouchers. Own SPS validator node licenses. Own and play customizable ETH NFTs. Validate blocks with SPS validator nodes. Play the game or run a guild. See how that works? There's like tons of different ways that this happens, right? So capital deployment services. This is if you're a big baller, right? You come in, you've got earnings that need to be maximized. So what do? We put that money to work, right? We work with investors to make sure that they have their money at work in the ecosystem. We help you delegate your NFTs. We help you work with partners, which are going to be all of the different gamers that we have. And then also we look at different things like interest rates APRs yielding from different token pools. Basically just help you put your money to work inside the ecosystem. And then finally, services include software automation for assets. So this is where our tech team, really, I think a lot of these came from the community originally, but these are things that kind of grew out of necessity because there are people who have automated the buying and selling and renting of cards. You have people that have millions of dollars worth of cards, and some of these cards are worth 0.003 cents. Then yeah, it's going to get a little crazy. So, anyways, software automation for asset management, because if you have millions of cards, You're gonna have to automate the listings, advising on update as the game evolves, basically when to get in or where to get in on certain card packs. Also positions, new liquidity pools, other things of that sort. Setting up accounts, because we know a lot of these people aren't necessarily Web3 savvy. Plus, there's a lot of money involved. So we want to make sure that we're doing this correctly. Any reporting, we get this all the time. So I think we're going to have to sick Pat from Zen Ledger over there. Automation, as you said, we've got software automation and full service management of assets. So these guys work diligently to make sure that those card markets are stocked with plenty of cards, right? So anyways, this is all part of the actual capital deployment service inside of Splinterlands.
Yeah.
You guys are also, oh, sorry.
No, I was going to highlight. So this is a perfect slide right here. So it's Nifty Arcade. I've been working with them heavily for a while now. They have a sweet new tool that's getting ready to launch where if you're an investor, you can just deploy capital in a very hands-off way on their platform. And what makes them unique, what makes Nifty unique, is they provide all those services that you saw on the screen before. They can do the reporting, they can do advising, and a lot of that kind of stuff. But the platform itself automates the entire process. So if you're interested in buying in, you can actually buy a deck of cards. We don't sell decks of cards at Splinterlands, right? We sell card packs. And other players sell individual cards to other players on the market. But there's been no way to really buy sort of a curated deck that you could expect to play at a certain pre-designated league level, right? And what their platform does is it lets you see all the cards in the deck you're about to buy, and it allows you to make that purchase, receive that deck, and then you can go ahead and you can either play with the deck yourself, you can play with the account, or you can buy multiple accounts, and you can set a sort of like you're bidding for gamers to come and play with your deck. So you set the percent take that you're going to keep and the percent that they're going to keep. And it's sort of, it just automates all the payments. So everything that those scholars or those gamers who are playing with your accounts, everything that they're accumulating, everything is predetermined in terms of how much they keep, how much you keep. And so you're just accumulating everything that they're winning, your cut of everything that they're winning without needing to be hands-on. So it provides like a really seamless, easy button type way for people to go and onboard capital. And likewise for gamers, man, you can go in and you could just rent a whole deck of cards that's been curated that is going to play into a certain league level, and just get in there and start doing it and start to accumulate your own assets too. And so it's really solving sort of that. It's like middleware, right? It's kind of a missing piece that I think that we've had, because in order to rent a deck of cards previously, like I did when I started, I was going out and researching all these individual cards. I mean, I was into it, but it took me time to figure out, oh yeah, I want that card, I want this card, I want this card. And what Nifty's doing is they're basically saying, okay, here's a whole deck of cards that we know can get to this level. Click a button right here if you like the cut that this particular owner, the owner of this particular deck is giving out, and off you go. You start playing the game. And so, that's really cool. And Unbound Nation is doing, a subset of those things, something very cool as well. Capital DAO, these are all partners. These are all third-party organizations that are figuring out ways to help connect gamers with investors who have the capital to let them play at a high level. And so, it's a whole ecosystem that's really developed around a game like ours.
All right. Can we talk on these or no? Because we have these ones on here. I mean, it's just the script.
Yeah, these
this
are all
was on the
released.
original thing. Okay, cool. All right. Did one of you guys want to talk on these? Because you probably actually know more about the specific relationships than I do. I just know what I'm building. I don't think I could talk about that, but
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. So I think Liam, maybe I'll do the high level and then have you jump in and fill in some context too. But the high level is this. So our mission is mass adoption, right? So like there's this big chasm between these early days of crypto NFT world, Web3. But we know that I think all of us here are probably believers. This is good. This is core technology. It's really going to be a big part of everybody's future. And so, part of our goal or our mission really is to onboard Web 2 into Web 3, cross that chasm, get to the masses. So strategically, the direction we're taking to do that is to start to align with brands that, known IP that is familiar and comfortable in more Web 2 formats, right? So whether it's Warner Music Group, we've struck a deal with them. We're going to build a game for them that's going to use their IP in a card-based game like ours. We're basically using our tech stack that's tried and true over 4 years of development and is working beautifully for Splinterlands. We're going to take it and we're going to start applying other IP to it. Earlier in August, we announced a partnership with Major League Soccer Players Association. So MLS Players Association will actually have cards similar to like baseball cards or football cards in real life, except these cards are NFTs. They're going to be the real MLS players with stats and abilities, and you're going to line those cards up, position them on a soccer pitch, and have them actually playing against each other. But that's strategic, and there's more partnerships to come. That's actually rolling up under a whole sports gaming ecosystem that we're calling Genesis League Sports, and the MLSPA game is going to be the first one, the first installment in that whole series. So there's a bunch more announcements that we plan to have coming, but basically, like this is MLS has a big installed fan base in North America. There's a lot of people that are fans of the MLS that aren't necessarily involved in any way in Web3. And these people don't need to necessarily know all that much about Web3. They know the rules of soccer. They know the concept of, a player card in real life. And the idea is to give them an easy, frictionless pathway to get in here and get them to understand that, like, hey, you own these cards just like you do in real life. But instead of in real life, where you're just sort of collecting the cards, you're collecting the cards here, but you're also playing them, and so there's a whole game around this, right? And it's not terribly complex. If you know the rules of soccer, you can play this game, right? And so the big picture is, how do we actually access some of these masses in the Web 2 space and help to bring them in a very frictionless way, very non-threatening way, and have them get introduced into this wonderful world of Web3 and cryptocurrency that we have. And so, we expect this to be a very expansive direction that we're taking, and very excited about it. In fact, we have the pre-sale for the MLSPA game. The pre-sale of those card packs actually is meant to take place in October, and the game we expect to launch sometime early next year. But the big idea there is that, hey, you're going to be able to get in and start collecting these cards, and there's going to be an awful lot of value here because it's really accessing different markets than we would otherwise with a game like Splinterlands. So, strategically, we're headed off in a whole new frontier, and excited to see how this turns out. We're really trying to take some big leaps forward. So, Liam, you probably got some more context and some good bits that you can add on that too.
Yeah, I mean, I think you covered it for the most part. Like the Walk of Spirit Blade was a really cool kind of concept where we're able to kind of productize this method where we make promo cards for celebrities coming forward. And we've had the likes of kind of like Floyd Mayweather or a whole bunch of other kind of famous rappers, artists, musicians. Imagine Dragons was another one that we had potentially talked about actually kind of getting into this whole system. But it allows us a really cool way to work with the kind of social aspects of influencers, kind of big authorities in the media, so on and so forth, while also being able to actually kind of create revenue. And by doing so, it creates a very organic partnership. Warner Music, John, you hit the nail on the head there. The rest of it's really just kind of Major League Soccer, and that's, again, going to be a very kind of close replica of Splinterlands, but again, being able to leverage those huge brands just to kind of gain a ton of awareness on the backside.
Yeah, it's knowing what else is coming down the pipeline too. It's all pretty crazy. It's a lot of fun. We do have this little bullet point here on Warner, which you already touched on. I didn't know if we wanted to dive into this anymore, but 16-bit, I think you did a good job kind of wrapping that up. Anyhow,
one other little bit of context I think is good in this space is, like our ethos, it has everything to do with building around digital ownership and decentralization. And so this company called Splinterlands is all about how do we pump as much value back into the ecosystem as possible. You know, we're economists at heart, want to make sure that we got proper sources and sinks. But as part of that, when we start expanding out here and developing all these other games, the rewards for those who are already in and for the rewards for those who get in early will only continue to amplify and stack, right? So like a lot of the conversations that happen internally is like, how do we make sure that the existing Splinterlands community benefits from these different games that are coming out? How do we make sure that they're in good position? We already got like, you know, various different aspects of the economy that do that quite well, whether it's the, you know, the token distribution for SPS, or finding ways to reward liquidity, and all those sorts of things, and the voucher system. You know, all those things are meant to reward the community, and so we're always looking for ways to spread more value into the community. So the general theme, the general direction is always going to be, okay, so we make these new games. If we experience great success, it will almost certainly mean success for those who are in there early and have been supportive of the projects and been part of the ecosystem. So probably a cool thing to sort of think about, and anyway, we want to make sure that it's a win-win-win situation. Everybody's winning here.
Yeah, thanks for showing up, guys. I know we haven't actually done anything formally here in Crypto Monks, but you guys have worked with quite a few people who are here on the call already. So I think that's, it's, you guys are already kind of familiar with our whole getup, but yeah, thank you for showing up, guys. And I know we're going to be doing and probably hitting the road with a lot of this stuff. So we're going to have to somehow convey all of that information during AMA. So anyways, Liam, John, thank you guys.